Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy, also ETCG1. Hey, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. I don't get tired of saying it, and people that have the birthdays don't get tired of hearing it. Today I want to talk about the future. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, I think it was Allstate Insurance was doing a blog about the future of the automobile. And also my buddy Charles Sandville of Humble Mechanic, I believe, contributed to this as well. But anyway, they asked me to give my take on what the future of the automobile might be, and they had a whole article that was written. I'll link it down in the description for you so you can check it out. It got me to thinking, and I sort of took it to another level. I took it an extra step and was thinking about just the idea of automobile ownership in the future. And this is based on a number of factors and things that I've read and experienced and seen. I do see a future with driverless cars. I think that's an inevitability. I realize a lot of us, including myself, really enjoy driving ourselves around. However, it wasn't that long ago that I was in Atlanta and I used Uber for the first time. And it was the coolest flipping thing. I really liked it. In fact, cameraman Brian is an Uber driver now. So if you're in Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, you might get picked up by cameraman Brian. But anyway, and don't say I'm not paying him enough. The experience was great. I mean, I got into an app and I basically said, I'm here, and I got to watch the car drive to me and it picked me up. And the whole reason I used it is because, one, I was out of town, and two, I knew I was going to be doing some drinking. And wanting to be responsible about that, I didn't want to be driving around in a rental car in a strange city trying to get home after having a few drinks. Easiest solution was Uber. Now you could say call a cab, but honestly, with my experiences with taxi cabs, especially in Las Vegas, I don't like cabs, but I love Uber. And I love the whole app aspect of it. I think that's like wicked cool, and I can see why it's catching on and has caught on like it has. But this isn't necessarily a discussion about Uber. What I envision is something that's Uber-like as far as vehicle ownership goes in the future. So picture like Apple and Google and Uber getting together and possibly making a fleet of vehicles that are completely autonomous. Very similar to that Uber app that I used. And no offense to Uber drivers, especially Brian, but what if vehicle ownership wasn't necessarily owning a vehicle, but subscribing to a service that would transport you from point A to point B? In other words, much like Uber, you could just pull up on some app on your cell phone, dare I call it that, if that's what it becomes, but your device. And a vehicle would show up at your door within a few minutes. You could even schedule it at a particular time or whatever, and it would be ready to take you from where you are to where you need to be. And say you take that a step further with some of the technologies that we have now, and you could change the color of the exterior and the interior that would suit your taste. And maybe there's a bunch of different settings. Maybe you like to watch the news or whatever on your way to your destination, or your favorite show, or any of that stuff could be programmed in so that when the vehicle arrived at your destination, it became, in essence, your vehicle. Then, when you get to your destination and you get out, the vehicle goes on to the next person, and then, like a chameleon, conforms to their specifications. Think of the possibilities as far as the elderly are concerned. You know, people get older and they have difficulty driving, you know, because of physical disabilities or what have you. This enables them to stay mobile. What if you could take your elderly grandmother and have her taken to the store? And it's something you wouldn't necessarily have to, not that you don't like seeing your grandmother, but say you got to work or something and she's got to get to the store. Well, she doesn't need to necessarily rely on you to do that. Same with kids. Well, you could very comfortably put them in a car, monitor them the whole way, you know, because there'd be some sort of video monitoring inside of it, and have an interaction with them, talk to them as they go, you know, obviously of a certain age. I mean, you don't want to like put infants in cars by themselves, but say the technology gets to the point where autonomous vehicles are very common. I'm also talking about these things being electric, and maybe even to the point where driving around the inner city areas, when I was in Helsinki, I noticed they had a lot of trolley cars, and they had a whole network of lines above the street that the trolley cars would attach to, and they were all electric, and that's where they got their electricity from. Well, what if there was a similar grid system, either wirelessly, and in fact they're talking about wireless transmission of power, and they have been for some time. If they were able to work out that technology, things could be charged on the fly in certain areas. It really solves a lot of the problems, a lot of the transportation needs, particularly in urban areas, and vehicle ownership in general. You know, maybe that gets to a point. I mean, you just look at the cost of vehicles over time. When that Fairmont was new, I think it topped out, like top of the line version was like 7, 11 grand, if that, in 1979. Of course, they killed you on the interest. Interest rates in the late 70s were brutal. There's a lot of things that went with that. You know, you had to bring it in to be maintained, and if it broke down and something happened, then you were responsible for it. You had to pay for it. You had to make the payments. You had to pay the insurance. What if it was just one flat payment every month that you could make? College, if you're at a college, parking at a college. If you're at a college and you try to park anywhere, come on. If you didn't have to do that and all you had to do was pull up an app and you can go out drinking with your buddies and not have to worry about hurting anybody on the way home, I think that's one of the reasons why Uber is as popular as it is. Well, what if, like I say, that becomes your mode of transportation? And I realize for some people that may already be the case, but what I'm talking about is just the future of vehicle ownership in general. Like I said, Apple, Google, Uber, coming out with a fleet of vehicles that are capable of these types of things. It just got me to thinking, the wheels got turning. And that's kind of what I came up with. And I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. ETCG1 is about discussions. You've listened to me talk. Now it's time for me to read and respond to your comments. Yay! If you have automotive questions, please go to ericthecarguy.com. Link in the description to make it super easy. Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.